Hello villagers, this is Laura Dawn coming to you live, balancing on a board in the middle of the lake. And there is a reason why I wanted to talk to you from a balance board in the middle of the lake. I wanted to address a comment that was shared in the ADHD Village by a mama who was feeling really overwhelmed with guilt for how she reacted to a situation with her child, her 7-year-old child, at a party. She was at a party and an incident happened. She dealt with it, and then shortly after another incident happened, and she kind of lost her cool a little bit and grabbed her child, and they left the party right away and went home and was feeling really embarrassed about how she handled it. And first of all, I just want to say I wish I could give you a hug through whatever technology you're watching this on. And I think we've all been there. We've all been there. And this is so clear by the outpouring of support and comfort that was offered by the ADHD Villagers. Thank you so much, villagers. That's why we have the ADHD Village, so that we can feel like we're not alone. And it's so true. Like, so many of you reached out to this mama to offer words of compassion and support and comfort. And I'm so thankful for that. I can totally relate because I was at a party with both of my kids and my husband. I think my youngest was maybe 6 and my oldest was 8. And all the kids were in the basement playing, and all the grown-ups were upstairs having drinks and eating food and having a great time, and the kids were all by themselves in the basement. And there was like a wide range of ages, probably ranging from about 4 to maybe 12 or 13. So kind of, I guess the assumption was that the older kids were kind of keeping a bit of an eye on the younger kids. Anyway, something happened and my son had a reaction, and part of his reaction was showing aggression towards another child. I don't know if he grabbed her or what it was, but it was a physical aggression. And I knew back then instinctively that physical reactions are often a result of an internal anxiety, that something was just not right. My kids are not having physical reactions towards other kids because they're mean, or because they're rough, or because they're bad kids, or because I'm a terrible mom. However, in that moment, when other parents were looking at me, looking to see how was I going to react, and I am a teacher, so I think that there's an expectation that I'm going to be reacting in a certain way, and that I'm going to have some magical ability to control my child's behavior, which we cannot control our kids' behaviors and emotions. We can certainly respond and behave in certain ways that would encourage, certain reactions and responses, but we are not able to control every single behavior our child has. And I wish I had understood back then what I know now, and that is that behavior and emotions are a reflection of what's going on inside the child's brain and body. And Mona Delahooke, in her book Brain Body Parenting, she calls it a body budget. And we all have a body budget. She calls it a platform. And the platform idea kind of made me think of this balance board in the middle of the lake. So in order to be balanced on our platform, or on our body board or paddle board or whatever it is, there needs to be good stuff that goes in. And if you have too much bad stuff, you're going to be thrown off balance. And when you are balanced, when you're in homeostasis, that's how Dr. Stuart Shanker explains it. When you're in homeostasis and the stresses and triggers happen, it's so much easier to deal with them than when you are out of balance. So what this means about, like, how can you be out of balance? Well, something as simple as feeling too hot, too cold, tired, thirsty, hungry, somebody gave you a dirty look, somebody hurt your feelings, you're running late and feeling worried about a consequence of being late. All those things can throw off your balance, throw off your homeostasis, and make it less likely that you're able to manage triggers and stress. Dr. Stephen Porges explains this as neuroception, where your brain is constantly scanning both the physical, like external environment and your internal environment for safety or threat. So your brain's always trying to figure out whether you're safe or whether you're in danger. This is the phrase that he used. Sorry. The phrase that he used for this is called neuroception. So neuroception is your brain constantly scanning to see if you're safe or if there's a threat. And it's a perceived threat. It doesn't have to be a real threat like a saber-toothed tiger chasing you, or like a great big wave's gonna crash over me right now and knock me into some wild white water. It's a perceived threat. So, you know, me losing my car keys could be a perceived threat. That could be something that my brain is saying, oh no, like that's a big danger. Me being late for work could be something that my body perceives and my brain perceives as a big threat. Not having enough sleep could be something my brain perceives as a threat. So when our body senses that we are in threat or danger, when our brain is sensing that, then our body has these automatic subconscious reactions. So whatever happened with my son at that party, his balance was off because when he is in a good mood, when he's feeling good, when he's feeling balanced, well rested, well fed, well hydrated, well exercised, his connection budget is full, he has, you know, lots of feelings of love and trust and safety, he wouldn't hurt another child. But when his balance is off, and this child was only 6 years old to begin with, I believe, and his balance was off, something went wrong, he was feeling anxious about something, and I think one of the older kids had turned the lights off in the basement, and he felt scared, and he tried to turn it back on, and they blocked his hand from turning the switch on, and that's when he reacted and got physical. Well, the other parents weren't digging deep into why he reacted the way he did. They were just like, oh my goodness, like he attacked this child, like what's wrong with him, and you know, and how are you going to react, and how are you going to respond, how are you going to consequence, and how are you going to make this right, and how are you going to make him say sorry right away, which by the way is so ridiculous. In that heat of the moment when your child is feeling in threat, feeling in danger, that is not the time to have them go and apologize for what has happened. They're not able to do that. They have flipped their lid in that moment. So when they're reacting that way, their prefrontal cortex is offline, and they are reacting either from their limbic system, which is like their emotions and their feelings, or sometimes even below that, like the reptilian brain or the gray brain, which is where the body is detecting balance and safety and threat. So back to the mama in the ADHD village who was feeling so overwhelmed about how she reacted and so guilty about how she reacted at the party. Nothing's gone wrong. Nothing is wrong with your child. He was off balance, which caused his reaction. And guess what? Our kids' neuroception impacts our neuroception, and our neuroception impacts their neuroception. So I imagine that your neuroception was probably out of balance after that first incident happened. You were already feeling a little bit stressed and triggered, and then another thing happened. And really, we don't want to be feeling guilt, because that's just layering on top of the feelings that we're already having. It's okay to feel your feelings. It's okay to be upset about what happened. But you don't want to be layering guilt on top of your feelings. So when we react to what's going on with our kids, when we're reacting rather than responding, it's because our balance is off too. So, you know, when we're calm, cool, and collected, we can think about how we want to respond when situations like this happen, and we can come up with a great plan for how we'd like to respond. You know, stop, take a deep breath, get curious, not furious, all the things. And that's easy to do if you've got your body and brain nicely balanced. You're not feeling too hot, not feeling too cold. Your breathing rate is nice, your heart rate is nice, your sugar levels and salt levels are balanced, you're hydrated, like everything's lovely. everything is balanced, then it's easy for you to respond in the way that you want to respond, in that positive parenting, mindful parenting way. But when things are out of balance, it's much easier to react in a way that you wouldn't choose when you have like complete access to your prefrontal cortex, right? When you're in that emotional part of your brain. So my message to you is take a deep breath. It's okay. Give yourself some compassion. And when your kids are having these behaviors, these undesirable behaviors, get curious. Try to figure out what's going on with their brain and body that could be causing those behaviors and those emotions that they're feeling. And when you can get to the root and figure out what's going underneath and help your child to feel safe and loved, that, like when you get to the core of it, our kids want to feel safe and loved. That's part of that balance. They want to feel that they're safe. So if they're not feeling safe, if they're feeling like there's a danger, there's some kind of threat, that's when the behaviors happen. So rather than focusing on how we can improve our kids' behaviors, we want to focus on helping them to feel safe. And for yourself as well, you want to focus on helping yourself to feel safe and balanced, and give yourself compassion when you're not, because a lot of these things are automatic, they're subconscious, they're out of your control. So you can't be beating yourself up for something your brain does that's out of your control. So take a deep breath. Look at yourself in the mirror. Let yourself know, I love you. You've got this. It's going to be okay. And if you're not already in the ADHD Village, I invite you to join on Facebook, the ADHD Village. It's a great place for support. And if you are in the ADHD Village already and you think somebody would benefit from being in the village, if you have friends who have kids with ADHD, or if you want to invite some of your own family, caregivers of your kids into the ADHD Village, I think the more adults who are on board with this, the better it is for our kids. So take good care of yourselves. Find a way to make sure that you can find your balance. And I'm sending you lots of love. Love you. Bye-bye.